A king spoke in his own bedroom, and his enemy heard every word. The king of Aram was at war with Israel, and each time he chose a camp, word of it reached the king of Israel before his soldiers arrived. The king raged, demanding to know which officer had turned. One answered that none had. A prophet named Elisha spoke the king's bedroom words to Israel. The answer sent for one man was an army. The king gave the order to find Elisha and take him, and the report came back naming a town, Dothan. So he sent horses and chariots and a strong force, and they went by night and surrounded the city, closing around its walls in the dark. Elisha's servant got up early the next morning and went out, and there they were, an army with horses and chariots on every side. A strong force, the text's own word, arranged in full strength around walls that held the single man it had been sent to take. Elisha answered the army with a count. He told his servant not to be afraid. Those with them outnumbered those with the enemy. 2 men stood inside the walls. A strong force stood outside them. The text records both facts in the same morning, and the numbers did not match. He said it as plain fact, with the ring already closed. The count already had a witness against it, the servant's own eyes. He had gone out and seen exactly what surrounded him, horses and chariots and an army, and nothing else. The text records no second force visible to him. Elisha's larger side did not appear anywhere the servant could see. One recorded cry answered the sight. The servant called out to his master in alarm and asked what the 2 of them could do. That is the entire reaction the text gives him. A cry, one plea, nothing more yet. Elisha prayed, and the request was not for rescue, it was for sight. He asked the Lord to open the servant's eyes, and the Lord opened them, and the servant looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. The larger side stood in the hills, in fire, visible at last. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed a second prayer, and it was not for the fire to move. He asked that the army be struck blind. The blindness fell exactly as asked. The Lord struck the advancing army, and then the man they had come to capture spoke to them. "This is not the road, and this is not the city," Elisha said, and he offered to lead them to the one they were looking for. He led them, a strong force, sightless, following the voice of its own target, all the way into Samaria, where Israel's king was. Their eyes opened inside Samaria. The Lord restored their sight at Elisha's word, and they looked, and there they were, standing inside the enemy's city. The text records no blow struck on the road, and it never mentions the chariots of fire again. The king of Israel looked at the army inside his walls and asked Elisha for permission to kill them, calling the prophet his father, and the question left his mouth doubled, asked once, repeated in the same breath. Elisha refused. He turned the question back on the king, asking whether he would kill even men captured with his own sword and bow, and then he gave his order, set food and water before them, so they could eat and drink and go back to their master. The king went further than the order. He prepared a great feast for the soldiers who had come by night to take one man, and when they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their master. The last verse records the end of the raids. After the feast, the bands from Aram stopped coming into Israel's territory. Not one chariot of fire had moved. Not one soldier in the story had died. The side that was more never fought, and the fighting stopped anyway.